Right now, without asking it to, your brain is probably replaying something. A conversation from 3 days ago. A worst-case scenario that hasn't happened. A song lyric, a name, a regret from 2011. And the harder you try to push it away, the louder it gets. That's not anxiety. That's not weakness. That's how your brain is built. And once you understand why it does this, the loops get a little easier to live with. When you're doing nothing, sitting on a bus, staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., waiting for your coffee to brew, a specific network in your brain switches on. Neuroscientists call it the default mode network. It's the part of you that talks to itself. And it has one obsession: unfinished business. Think of it as a browser that never closes tabs. Your brain keeps those tabs running because it hasn't resolved them yet. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Your mind holds on to incomplete things more stubbornly than finished ones. A task you've completed disappears from a mental queue. A conversation that ended badly? Still loading. In the 1920s, a Soviet psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik was sitting in a Viennese cafe when she noticed something strange. Waiters could hold complicated orders in their heads perfectly until they delivered them. Once a table was settled, the order evaporated from memory. Her conclusion: the brain files completed things away. Incomplete things stay active, like a process running in the background. Here's something wild. Researchers found that people remember interrupted tasks twice, as well as completed ones. In one study, participants were given puzzles to solve. Half were stopped midway, half finished them. An hour later, those who never finished remembered nearly double the details. Your brain doesn't just nag you about unfinished things. It actually upgrades their memory priority, like pinning a notification so it never slides off the screen. The more unresolved something feels, the sharper it stays. Completion is literally the only delete button your brain has. That might sound like a glitch. It isn't. This mechanism evolved because finishing things matters for survival. An animal that forgets about the food it buried doesn't eat next winter. The loop is a reminder system. It just never got an off switch. Here's where it gets worse for modern humans. The unfinished loops we carry now aren't about survival. They're about emails we haven't replied to, arguments we never fully resolved, and things we said at a party in 2016. The brain is still running the same ancient software. The inputs have just completely changed. Then there's the suppression trap. Try this. Don't think about a white bear. What just happened? This is ironic process theory, studied by psychologist Daniel Wegner. When you try to suppress a thought, your brain has to keep a small part of itself monitoring for that exact thought to check it's still suppressed. That monitor keeps the thought alive. Push harder, it bounces back harder. The most counterintuitive thing you can do is finish the loop, not in real life, but on paper. Write it down. Your brain keeps circling because it doesn't trust you to remember. The moment it sees the thought captured somewhere external, a note, a list, a single sentence in a journal, it loosens its grip. Not completely, but noticeably. Researcher David Allen built an entire productivity system on this one insight. Your head is for having ideas, not holding them. Another approach: schedule the worry. This sounds absurd. It has research behind it anyway. Tell your brain, not now, at 6 p.m. Studies show people who contain their rumination to a specific time window actually ruminate less overall. A scheduled slot works like a closure signal. The brain believes you mean it. There's also something to be said for genuine boredom, phoneless, stimulation-free, staring at the wall boredom. When you're truly idle, the default mode network starts processing. It works through the loops. This is why solutions appear in the shower and never at your desk. Interrupting that idle time constantly with scrolling means the maintenance never happens. The tabs stay open. The loop isn't something you get rid of. Every human brain does this. The people who seem calm aren't people whose minds have gone quiet. They're people who've learned to let the loops run without grabbing onto them. In meditation, they call this noting. You notice the thought, you name it, you watch it pass. The thought is weather. You're not obligated to argue with rain. One last thing worth sitting with. The thoughts that loop hardest are usually tied to something unresolved that actually matters to you. An argument that keeps replaying isn't random noise. It's your brain flagging something it hasn't filed away yet. That can be useful information if you're willing to look at it for a moment rather than just trying to shut it off. Your brain loops because it cares. It's not always right about what deserves attention. But the looping itself isn't a malfunction. It's a reminder system running ancient code on a very modern life. Next time you catch a thought going in circles, you don't have to fight it. Just ask, is this loop telling me something? Or is it just a tab I forgot to close?